Hi guys, back once again, and this time, this is going to be the Lost in Space Episode 8 review. I'm going to cut through this pretty quick, okay, and there's a reason, because there's something that I want to talk about concerning this episode, and as far as I'm concerned, this episode made a monumental mistake. And it didn't make me feel good at all. And I tell you what, I'll cut through my notes pretty quick, and then I'll get around to talking about it. Okay, so the first note that I got was that the opening of the episode with the Indiana Jones style action roll through the door. Yeah, okay, I was having a good time, having fun with that. It was like, yeah, of course. The door's closed and he rolls through. Then I wrote down concerning the fact that they were going to try to launch into space, and I put down it's not rocket science. Oh wait, it is. You got the scene then with Penny talking to VJ, and Penny assumes the high ground, even though Penny's in the wrong position here, and she's having to go VJ about him not keeping a secret. And to be honest with you, Penny was in the wrong there, and it's part of the dramatic writing process. The next thing that I wrote down was about Will patching the radio, and he was patching the Jupiter 2 to the Jupiter 4, and I've written down that Will is far too smart, and it's one of those things. It's one of the things I don't like about the character, is that he's in danger of becoming Wesley Crusher, and I don't want to see that happen, because I think he's a good character, but he is just a bit too bright. Then you got the scene with Dr. Smith and Maureen, where Maureen confronts her about not being the real Dr. Smith, and it was a great scene. It was an absolute fantastic scene between the two actors. The back and forth was good. Parker Posey was laying it on thick, and when she does that, she really makes my skin crawl. She was knocking it out of the park. Then we got the whole simulation montage, whereby he keeps passing out all the time. And there was lots of good stuff in that. We've got Judy giving Don her puppy dog eyes, and him relenting and eventually doing the right thing. And then the next thing I've got is Will letting Dr. Smith out. And what I actually wrote is, Will never does the right thing, why would you leave this kid alone? So that's pretty much all the notes that I made about the episode. And all the stuff that I was wanted to talk about with the episode, because I thought that there's some really good stuff on that. However, this episode made a monumental mistake, right? And it's something that I really do want to address, and that is the fact that there is a scene in this episode whereby Don is talking to Maureen, and he's talking to her about, hey, you know what, I'm an engineer, I know what the hell I'm doing, you don't need to check all my stuff. And then Maureen starts listing disasters that happen because of failures in equipment and things like that. The problem I've got is that she starts listing real shit. She starts listing real tragedies. Real people died. No, this isn't a sci-fi show now anymore. We're talking about real life. And she lists a couple, and then she lists Challenger, and then she lists Columbia, right? This show just crossed the line, right? I'm sorry, I love this show, I genuinely do. If you've watched my past Lost in Space reviews, you'll see that I was really having a great time with this show, and I was absolutely loving it. This one scene, they could have subbed that out with bullshit disasters that happened. Okay, they could have listed you know, anything. They could have made up any names for any things, and just said, oh look, and people died in all these, and so on, and I would have been fine with it. It would have been like, yeah, okay, no problem. The fact that they listed real life incidents was when I had to stop the episode. I had to literally stop the episode and take time, because I remember Challenger, right? I was 8 years old, and a lot of people don't realise how big of an event Challenger was, right? Challenger was at the height of the Cold War, when there was a lot of paranoia around. There was a lot of there was a lot of nervousness around. People were in uncomfortable situations. We didn't know what was going to happen, if this was going to result in a nuclear war. It was a horrible time to be around. And Challenger was this one project whereby they were going to put a civilian in space, right? And I don't know how many people remember this, right? But the reason why it became a big media event was because months earlier, I think they announced that they were going to put Big Bird into space from Sesame Street, right? And you can check this. This is absolutely. I'm not making this up at all, right? It sounds ridiculous, I know, but I swear to you, I'm not making it up. They were going to put Big Bird from Sesame Street into space, right? And weeks before then, they swapped it out, and they swapped out Big Bird for a school teacher. And here's the thing, right? Challenger has stayed with me my entire life. I will never ever forget it. I was 8 years old. I had just got home from school. My father had been working nights, so he was in bed. My sisters and I were just finishing up our food. We were watching it live on TV. It was a big event, and it got about 4:30, and we were into the sort of the 10-minute countdown, and we just finished our food, and we were all sitting around watching it, and we saw those engines ignite, and we saw it go up, and what happened next was horrific, absolutely bloody horrific, and it has stayed with me ever since, right? And the problem I've got with this episode referencing that wasn't that it was referenced as, oh, people died on this in these accidents. It was the fact that the character of Maureen laid blame on the people that worked on these ships, and for me that absolutely crossed the line, because we're talking about people that are still alive today, who worked on these projects, that have to live with that every single goddamn day of their life. And to me, it was like I said, I had to stop the episode. I had to take like about an hour after that happened to just process, and to, I was thinking, oh yeah, well, I mean, they referencing it because they want to say this, and they but actually it came to a point whereby she actually laid blame, and to me that is absolutely bang out of order. This is a sci-fi show. This is a nothing. These are fictional people in a fictional world, in a fictional society. These are piss. We're talking about real people, and I'm sorry, I can feel myself getting emotional about it now. It's burning in the back of my head, and some of you might think that I'm being pissing silly, and I don't care, because I remember being there. I remember watching it. I remember seeing it on TV, and it has stayed with me ever since. And if you're gonna make a show like this, where you're having fun and you're just doing sci-fi silly nonsense, don't, for the love of God, do not pull shit like this. I'm gonna be honest with you, if I'm Netflix now and I'm the people that behind making Lost in Space, I'd consider issuing an apology. And that's honestly, I was having a really good time with this episode right up until that moment, but I had to say something, because I just cannot let that slide. Anyway, I apologise to those people that that I'm talking about this in this way, but I feel like I really had to get it off my chest. Anyway, that's what I thought of this episode, and that's my massive problem I got with this episode of Lost in Space. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later, guys.